So this is the first American paperback edition of White Sargasso Sea. And it's pretty obvious from the cover that it was originally sold as a drugstore romance. There are a lot of things that are really interesting just about the cover. The fact is that the cover shows a scene that doesn't occur anyplace in the book. It's kind of like maybe a scene from Jane Eyre, as if this were Bertha Mason after the burning of Thornfield Hall. But of course Bertha doesn't survive the burning of Thornfield Hall, so that can't be it either. So that's one of the really interesting things about it. The other interesting thing is the back, which has this great thing with the heiress, and then it has this wonderful jacket copy. She was Antoinette Causeway, a beautiful heiress grown up amid the violence and intrigue of a lush Caribbean island and haunted by memories of a terror-ridden past. He was Rochester, a handsome, charming young English lord who married Antoinette in her innocence, taught her to be a woman on a savagely passionate honeymoon, and took her home with him to England. It was there, at Thornfield Hall, that Antoinette learned the terrible truth about her husband and the nightmare fate prepared for her, ... which also is not what happens in the novel either. So what I think is really interesting about that is I think that what they've done is that they've kind of tried to turn White Sargasso Sea back into a conventional Gothic novel. So in a conventional Gothic novel like Jane Eyre, the woman who is defenseless and innocent, comes to this old creepy house. It's the man's house, and when she's there, she hears all these strange noises, and she becomes suspicious. She thinks there's something magical and fantastic going on. There's some guilty secret, in the background that she's got to find out about. And that's Jane Eyre, and that kind of falls into the standard Gothic pattern. Well, what Reese does actually in White Sargasso Sea is she reverses that. So in fact, what happens is Rochester comes to the West Indies. The man then comes to the woman's house. It's her house that they stay in. Grand Bois is her house. He comes to her house. He begins to think there's some terrible secret in her past. He hears all these strange, noises in the night and thinks there's something magical and fantastic going on. He feels ill at ease and defenseless because it's her house and because he doesn't know what's going on. It's a reversal in gendered terms of the standard Gothic plot. And what's really strange about that, of course, is that it also contradicts our common notion of what White Sargasso Sea is all about. Because if you ask anybody what's going on in White Sargasso Sea, what they will tell you is it's the story of Jane Eyre told from the point of view of Bertha Mason. But in actual fact, it really isn't, because 2/3 of the book is actually told from the point of view of Rochester. And the way she structures the book, it's all about Rochester's terror and Rochester's indecision and Rochester's sense of vulnerability. And you kind of wonder why she did it that way. It may just be, one thing is possible, is that she thought of this as a kind of an interesting Gothic experiment. Kind of like you take the man and put him in the traditional position of the woman and sort of say, now let's see how you like that. As if to kind of punish the character in a weird way. Or it may just be that Reese always thinks that there's another side, no matter what. So when she reads Jane Eyre, she always thinks, oh, it's Bertha Mason's story, that's the other side. But then when she does Bertha's story, she thinks there's still another side, and that side turns out to be Rochester's side. And so in a weird way, kind of despite herself, she finds herself telling the story from Rochester's point of view, which is exactly the opposite of what you would really think she's doing.